FanDuel just came out with SEC win totals, and while it's way too early to have these win totals set in stone, it at least gives us something to go off of. So let's talk about Oklahoma's win total and how Jackson Arnold could potentially impact that total, right? Maybe how many wins Jackson Arnold is worth. So Oklahoma's win total, according to FanDuel, is at 7.5 right now. Most years you'd be like, oh, let's bet the over without even looking at the schedule. This year is obviously different, as they maybe have the toughest schedule in the SEC with 6 teams, I think, being the top 25. So let's look at the schedule. But before we do, I want to kind of review Jackson Arnold, what he brings to the table, kind of what you can expect offensively, and how his play could impact that win total and squeeze them out a few more wins than maybe the odds makers have, right? And again, they do have one of the toughest schedules, but I think with a quarterback like Jackson Arnold, there's potentially a few games that he could tilt towards OU's favor. So let's talk Jackson Arnold real quick, right? We've put out a few videos of Arnold the past month or so, past few weeks. We do have a film breakdown of Jackson Arnold as well. I think we do. If we don't, then one's coming, I promise. So Jackson Arnold, for anyone that hasn't kept up with Arnold or the Oklahoma offense, the talent is off the charts, right? If you go back and look at his recruiting rankings, he's right up there with one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football, maybe the top one, depending on what recruiting service that you look at, right? 5-star quarterback, number one quarterback in Texas, number 4 in the country, extremely strong arm, can throw from any platform, and he's a much better athlete than people probably realize, unless you're an OU fan, you kind of follow him, right? So with that said, I think you're going to be able to see him maneuver in the pocket. We actually showed that. He showed that in the game against Arizona. Like, he did have a few picks. He did show all his talent. Like, his talent was on full display in that bowl game against Arizona, despite the interception. So I think you can imagine what the offense could look like over a course of a season. And with new Luttrell, or Seth Luttrell, the new offensive coordinator coming in, I think we're going to see some RPOs. I think we're going to see him utilize his legs. They used Gabriel's legs last year, so that's going to be tough for the defense to defend, especially with the quarterback who can run. It's not going to be the first option, but the threat's there, right? Gets the defense out of position. And then we're going to see straight drop backs. We're going to see play action. So I think we're going to see a variety of both, and we're going to see, whatever he gets comfortable in is probably what Luttrell is going to call. So I think we see his legs enough to keep the defense honest. I think we see strategic runs. He's going to use his legs to buy time, but the talent is his arm, right? He's going to be able to maneuver in the pocket, but the talent is his arm. And Gabriel did a great job last year, probably a career year, throwing the deep ball, running the ball, was very accurate, and his yards per attempt was as high as they've ever been. I think we can see Arnold in this offense do the same thing, push the ball downfield, right? So you have the threat of his legs, you have the threat of getting the defense out of position, and then the threat of pushing the ball downfield. And Luttrell's offense, he always wants to. He just, when he was at UNT, had a fantastic quarterback in Mason Fine, but I think Arnold's arm strength, triumphs his past quarterbacks that he's had. So with that said, that's kind of a quick review on Jackson Arnold. So let's go ahead and look at the schedule. Maybe we'll just go, let's just go ahead and go like game by game approach, right? But I think to get over this win total, I think you have to win your first 5 games. I really do. The first 3 are your easiest games. I wouldn't call them gimmies by any means, but they're definitely your easiest games, right? You start off with Temple at home, Houston at home, Tulane at home. You must win those 3 at home, right? And I think Arnold, and you don't need Arnold to play great in those games to win, but it'd be nice if he does, right? I think those 3 games are almost like, hey, let's prime and get ready. And it's a good, Houston and Tulane are no joke either, right? So you're playing against some quality competition. So he's getting his feet wet, yes, but he's actually playing against good competition to prepare him for what's coming up next. And then Tennessee's at home. So your first 4 games are at home. And I think that could be an advantage, right? Coming up against Tennessee. Now, Tennessee is probably going to be favored right now, I would imagine. But I think at home, if you're starting off 3-0, Tennessee's got a new starting quarterback. I know there's a ton of hype on him, right? I think he may have been the top quarterback in the class last year with Arnold, or I guess number 2 behind Arch, depending on what service you follow. But they have a new quarterback too. He's getting broken in. A ton of talent, did great in the game against Iowa, the bowl game against Iowa. But still, he's a new quarterback too, going on the road against Oklahoma. So I think it's fair to say, hey, maybe the advantage does go to Arnold here, right, in that game. So let's just assume you win that game. Boom, win game number. You got 4 in a row. I think you have to win Tennessee to get this win total, especially at home. Next is Auburn on the road, away, your first home game. I think you have to win this game too. The biggest question with Auburn, do they take that next step and kind of graduate where they were last year? They showed flashes, but can they take the next step? I think offensively, unless they take a next step, your money's on Arnold here, right? But still, that's going to be his first big game, big road environment. You're in Auburn. That even when they're bad, their home crowd is great. And who's to say they won't take a big step? I think their win total is 7.5 too, right? But anyways, I think for Oklahoma to hit their win total, you got to beat Auburn. Then you have an off or a bye week. Again, if I'm mistaken by the order, just let me know in the comments. But then you have a bye week, and then you go to the Cotton Bowl with Texas. And before we keep going on, if this is your first time tuning in the channel, sincerely, thank you. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really does help the channel grow. We just talk all things college football quarterbacks. We have a podcast where quarterbacks come on. We just center everything around the college quarterback position. So if you like that kind of stuff, you're kind of like, that's kind of your niche, or you're kind of a college football junkie, consider subscribing. All right, so you got Texas up next, the Cotton Bowl. This is a tough game. Texas is, I think, 9.5, or is it 9.5? Their win total, something like that. It's border 10. They should be really good. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. You go all this hype. You got these awesome receivers coming in from the transfer portal. It's gonna be tough. But this game, Texas fans, OU fans, and college football fans know anything's possible, right? So this is still a coin flip. Even if Texas was 0-5 going into this game, or if Oklahoma was 0-5 going into this game, this is still a toss up because of the rivalry, right? But still, this is tough. This is a tough game, right? So you got Texas. After that, you have South Carolina at home. South Carolina is breaking another new quarterback, right? So already you have 2 new quarterbacks being broken in the first 4 SEC games that you're playing. So yeah, Arnold's a new quarterback too, but you're also playing teams that have new quarterbacks. South Carolina at home, you got to win that game. Then you travel to Ole Miss. That's going to be a tough one, especially with if Ole Miss lives up to the hype that they're getting this offseason. That could be a tough game. With Jackson Dart, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and with Lane Kiffin. That's going to be a really tough game, admittedly. Then you got Maine at home, right? Should be a win, no biggie. Then Mizzou on the road, Mizzou away. I love Brady Cook, and they're returning their top receiver, I believe. I think Mizzou's on the right path. I really like Brady Cook, so that's going to be another tough game. Now, at least the environment won't be as tough as, say, LSU or who else you have on the road, or Ole Miss, right? But if they're rolling, it's still going to be a tough place to play, right? All right, then after that, you have an off game or an off week, and then finish with Bama and LSU. This schedule is brutal, no doubt. But you finish Bama, LSU. You got Bama at home, so it's great to have them at home. And you definitely have a chance here with all the turnover going on in Alabama. I think the big question with Bama is how their defense be. If you can keep up with them point-wise, then I think you got a chance, right? Again, way too early look, but Bama, at least that game's at home. That game's going to be at home. It's going to be tough. All right, LSU away. That's always tough. But again, LSU's going to have a new starting quarterback too. Now, I really like Garrett Nussmeier. We have some stuff coming on Garrett coming up. I think he can be an absolute stud. But still, he's a new starting quarterback in the league, right? Now, the thing is with Arnold, if he hits his ceiling like we've talked about and all these traits that we talked about in the video, if he's able to do that on a consistent level, what's to tell us that LSU's defense is suddenly fixed? Like, if you get in a shootout, then you have a chance with LSU. It's so I don't think that game is a gimme LSU game by any means. I think it's tough. I think playing at LSU, playing away is tough. But if that's the Thanksgiving weekend, then maybe the crowd isn't as intense. Who knows what has happened? LSU's defense has to take a next step for sure, right? So the way I look at this offense is Jackson Arnold, if he can hit his ceiling, then I think you're going to hit the win total. I really do. But you have to get Tennessee at home. You have to get Auburn. I think the big games you got to get are Tennessee at home, Auburn away to start out 5-0, and then South Carolina at home. Those are like gimme games along with the first 3. And then if you go 3-2 against Bama, LSU, Mizzou, Ole Miss, and Texas, that gets you to 10-2, I believe. And then if you go 2-3 against them, it gets you to 9-3. So that's kind of the path I feel like to get over. Again, that's assuming you beat Tennessee. It's assuming you beat Auburn. It's assuming you start 5-0. Tough schedule, but the path is definitely there. So Oklahoma fans or just SEC fans in general, what are your thoughts on the comments? Or let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How much do you think Arnold can impact? Like, I think if Arnold hits his ceiling, I think that can, like, the toss-up games. Again, if you have 5 or 6 toss-up games, let's say you have 6 toss-up games, I think that gets you 2 or 3 W's in those toss-up games. I really do. With Arnold's ability there, right? Especially if he hits on what everyone has set his ceiling to be. Now, again, stuff could go wrong and maybe it doesn't happen, but just my thoughts. Definitely looking forward to seeing OU and Arnold this season. But yeah, just thought the win total, if you saw 7.5, you'd be like, oh yeah, bet the over. But not in today's day and age of college football. But anyways, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe. We'll put out more Oklahoma and Jackson Arnold content coming up, and just any relevant quarterback content we'll have coming up as well. So like, share, subscribe, comment in the comments below if you got anything to say, as long as it's nice. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace.